Okay, let's get started. I want to just hit it to start just about joints moving again. Just, really in the end, the biggest takeaway here is going to be about joints moving. When we think about the knee moving, right, you tend to think of it, it's sort of in a one-dimensional movement or two, but really, the knee goes this way, and it does all sorts of things to keep our balance, and it's kind of a pretty amazing joint. And then when you think about the shoulder, it's like crazy, It goes up, it goes this, it goes around, it goes back in here. When you look at the movements, it's just crazy. And now think about kind of a normal day for you. What joints are you getting moved? You're getting out of bed, we're getting out of bed, walking a little, getting out of a chair, occasionally walking some stairs, occasionally reaching up into a shelf. But, what we're probably not doing is barely touching all the ways our joints move, right? I think that's pretty much normal. And the important part about that is that the neural pathways in our brain that are constantly being rewired, constantly being re-upped, when we don't use our joints, those neural pathways, basically the brain makes a decision, hey, if I try to go back there, I may hurt something. And the brain does an amazingly good job at trying to protect us. Too good a job a lot of times. But so it starts telling your joint that it can't go there. It starts putting stops in. And those come pretty fast. When you think about our brain trying to protect us, think about anxiety, right? A lot of times anxiety just comes and it's our brain saying, watch out, beware. When we sort of think of us as, herd animals, there's somebody else who's supposed to be watching while we, eat. But if we're sort of always on watch, it's a pretty hard way to live. So anyway, our brains are constantly doing this rewiring. And again, like I said, when you think about what we do during the day, a lot of times we eat, we tie our shoes, we don't do a lot. A few years ago, I think I mentioned I broke my collarbone and stupidly kept it in a sling for a few days. And really within a week, I had lost the ability to do this at all. I could barely, it was amazing how quickly my brain rewired. In fact, there's a famous study where they gave a bunch of people contact lenses that flipped the image upside down. And within a couple hours, their brain rewired and you completely see things right side up. And it's just like how the brain does that. But again, it's a survival thing. If you get bonked on the head and all of a sudden something flips, if your brain doesn't rewire quickly, you're dead. So, and then with that contact lens thing, they had them do that for a few weeks, stayed that way, and then they took the contacts away that flipped things upside down. And again, very, very quickly, certainly by overnight, it had rewired, the brain rewired and everything was normal. So that's why I think this idea of joint mobility is such a big thing. And we'll come to different things about that here in a bit. But let's just go through our past movements here just real quickly. Everybody want to stand up? And now let's do that getting up and down off the floor, the sit and rise test. So again, the deal is you get down, every point's a subtraction for when you touch a hand or a knee or a leg or whatever. So go ahead and get down. Get down on the mat. And then sit there for a moment. And then go ahead and get up. Okay, so that's the sit and rise. Has anybody been spending more time on the floor? Good. Yeah, me too. And I definitely see a lot of advantages. Okay, let's do this. Everybody just go up against a wall now. Let's do this hip extend thing. Just remember this one where you back your one foot up to the wall and then you take, and if, you may only be able to do this on a sofa or something, but you take your knee back into the corner, your foot up, and then remember you just breathe in for for a count of 5 and squeeze your butt, and then breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And again, this is just good for your core. Breathe in, breathe out. And now we come up with our leg here if we can. Come up like this. And again, we breathe in and we breathe out. We'll just keep that for a minute. Try to straighten out, or just for a second there, and try to straighten up a little bit. And anyway, so I've been doing this a lot. It's amazing how much flexibility I've gotten with this. Since we're here, just do it with the other leg. So again, squeeze and breathe in a little bit. Squeeze and bring in, breathe in. Squeeze and breathe in. Now, pop your leg up here a little bit if you can. And I like to do this on a mat. I'm doing it. All of us are just here on the ground, which is sort of a pain.
That's why I can't do it.
Yeah, you go. That's it. That's it. And then you come up this way if you can. Yep. So, okay. Now, if everybody wants to get face down on the mat, we'll do, or actually sitting on your yoga mat here. You should crawl everywhere. Okay, this is the one where we just try to hold our breath as we breathe out. So you take a deep breath and you, well, actually, let's do this one. Let's do 20 of these Wim Hof breaths where you just, you're breathing in and then you're pushing it out with your core. So just breathe those as you're breathing in and then pulling your core in, pulling your belly in to push it out, and then blow all the way out. Get rid of all your air and just sit there for a few moments, and just be without air. And your brain's telling you, I don't like this, but you can go a really long time if you train your brain to change. And just hold it out. You can take a swallow once in a while. If you feel like you're going to explode, take a swallow. That helps. And then, take your breath when you want to take your breath. But that's the breath hold test. Everybody out of breath? Okay, long out of breath? Okay. Let's now try this one where this future-proof the shoulders one. If you lay face down on your yoga mat and have your hands up in the cactus position. Actually, no, this one, your hands are straight in front. That's right. Your head can be down, your forehead against the mat, your hands straight out. And now try to lift your hands so that the back of your hands are going up towards the ceiling. You are lifting. Basically, you're trying to rotate your shoulders up so your whole arm comes up, and you just lift and see if you can get up a couple inches, and then hold it for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's that one. And then roll onto your back. Just put your head down. And this one, you're in the cactus position, your arms out, and then your forearms up. And that here, you just try to press I think you have your knees up here in this too, and just try to press the back of your hands against the mat. And see if you can press and get a little bit of force there. I mean, I got to say on this one, I can barely have my hands touch the mat, but so. Okay, so those are the 4 we've covered so far. Let's go ahead and stand up. Okay, so now we're going to do the balance test. And this is, standing on one leg. Well, let's try this one first. See if you can stand on one leg and keep your balance for a little bit. Yeah, just, and don't fall over, but just try to do that. And then try to stand on the other leg and keep your balance a little bit. Now, I'm not going to ask people to do it here, but when you're home and maybe near something, try that with your eyes closed. It's a completely different thing. And when you try it, you'll see that you can usually do one side, but not the other, which I don't even know why that is. But so anyway, so I think we all get that the idea of good balance with aging is just about one of the most critical things, right? It's a cliche almost that you fall and break a hip when you get older and then you're done. You know, I mean, it's just things go downhill fast. And so how to kind of work on our balance is just a really important thing. And for this exercise, it's called the Old Person Balance Test, where try to, and this is something you can do every day if it suits you. Basically, it's trying to figure out how to put on your underwear and your socks and your shoes when you're standing. So, you know, you got underwear here, see if you can like scoop it up. And then if you get that done, then you know, try to get a sock, try to get your foot in the sock and do that. And I mean, for me, like the foot in the sock, I can just barely do it, but I mean, I'm reaching around and trying to catch the toe. But anyway, I think it's a good, I've been doing it now a few months and I haven't gotten way better, but I think it's a good thing to just like, you know, in every way, and it costs nothing. So, so that's the test. You know, there's lots of other things that help balance, you know, obviously jumping rope. So one of the things we want about balance, obviously, is trying not to fall. But there's also the idea of falling safely. I'm not sure how much that appeals to you, but like Cromer and I run in the woods a lot, and we, you know, I fall a lot. But there is some advantages in knowing, like, to be able to fall and relax and roll and not just like smash yourself down. So I don't think I'm going to cover it here, but that's a thing, you know, worthy. Certainly a sport like judo spends a lot of time teaching you how to fall safely. But okay, the next one for this week is the squat, full range squat, or the Asian squat, or the resting squat. Like, how many of us can get in a deep squat and just hold it and stay there? Like, you know, most of the world can do that, right? That's a pretty common thing around the world. All of us could do it when we were kids, right? You see kids, that's the normal position. They're squatted down. And so this is something that really our brain tells us, stop, you can't do this anymore. And I got to say, I had a personal, I asked Cromer, I said, hey, you know, I said, I barely can do this. Like, they had said, you know, keep your feet in front of you. And like, I would get down and I'd get to there, and that's all I could get with my feet straight out. Now, I can go on my toes and I can keep my balance. So I thought, well, that's pretty good. And then I said it to him, and he just could squat down. His feet were out a little bit, and I told him, well, the book says your feet aren't supposed to be out. But then, so I started watching a bunch of YouTubes. A lot of times, first thing when I'm at my desk, I'll read something, journal a little bit, and I'll watch a YouTube about something. And a lot of times it's just fitness stuff. And so I watched a bunch of stuff about how to get better at this squatting stuff, because there seems to be a fair bit of agreement that it's a really good thing for you to do, for your back, for your balance, for your thighs, knees, because it really provides a range of motion that we're wired to have. So I'm working on this, and what I noticed is almost everybody that squats has their feet pointed out. I'm generally a fan of keeping our feet, toes pointed straight ahead, but I think it's almost impossible. Everybody I see has their toes out somewhat. It just seems like the normal. So I'd say I probably wouldn't fight too much if you're not, if your feet aren't straight, if they're out a little bit. And I'll just go through what I figured out was, okay, it took me a while to figure out I can put my feet out. And then as I started getting lower, my balance got really like I was going to fall backwards. So I found something that I could grab onto that wouldn't, and I would like get down into the position and hold on to something and then go a little lower and just sort of stay in that for a little. And what it does is, again, it's telling your brain, hey, you can be in this position, it's not dangerous. And then after a while, I all of a sudden found I didn't quite need that thing to hold on to. And one thing I'll say too about this is I did manage to injure both my knee and my back doing this, so be a little careful. And injuries are, you know, when you do stuff, occasionally you're gonna, like, I don't treat injuries the same as aches and pains. Like, aches and pains are always with us. You know, you get an injury and you recover. And I didn't injure them bad at all, but just I can feel it a little bit, a little tinge. So, and it was mostly because I was stupid. There's another thing that they say, you know, stand up against the wall with your foot 10 inches away from the wall or so, and just kind of go forward. So you're trying to make your ankle here, it's called ankle dorsiflexion. You're trying to make that thing, like if you can't squat, it's almost always in your ankles. And almost all this stuff, like moving better, your ankles are just key to it. Your ankles and hips are so stinking important. So anyway, but I did eventually get to this where I can like go down and kind of spread my feet a little bit and get down in this position and feel pretty comfortable. And I can kind of stay here. And that's, you know, you want to be able to, and then once you can kind of do that, then you get to like, well, can I hang here for 2 minutes? You know, and can I do this maybe 2 minutes a day? Can I, you know, or can I get to the point like, you know, a lot of people in the world, this is how they sit and rest. So, you know, do this to whatever extent you want. Like I said, be careful. It's really, and when I come up, at this point, when I come up, I feel a little bit of ache right in here. You know, it's like, okay. And my knee, what I did to my knee, and it's minor, but when I was doing this thing, I just thought, oh, I can push it a little harder. I can push it a little harder, which is just always the wrong thing to do with this. But, you know.
You're saying it hurt, and you held it when it was hurting?
No. As soon as I felt it hurt a little bit, I thought, oh, stupid. But and it'll be gone in a week. It's mostly gone, but.
It doesn't take long to get kind of good at some of these things if you practice them.
Yeah.
I was terrible when we first started that book.
Yeah. Yep. And you're only moderately less so now. Okay. So I've been thinking about this class, and I kept coming back to this one routine that I do every week. And I think it's one of the most important things I do of everything I do, because if I miss a week or two of it, my whole neck and shoulder pain comes back. I mean, it is that, like, this is one I can say, for whatever reason, something in this thing is what keeps those pains away. And it's so much like that shoulder thing that we just went through is when I look at that and think, I don't know that this, but this is fantastic for your shoulders and neck. So let's start with, we're gonna go through it together, okay? That's what we'll do for the rest of the time here. So start with your right arm up, horizontal to the ground, forearm vertical, you know, like Tonto would say, how kimosabi. And you do this standing in a doorway. We don't have a bunch of door jams here, but just imagine you're standing in a doorway. Your feet are pointed straight ahead. Your toes are pointed straight ahead. And now turn your toes a little bit this way, a little bit away from the door jamb you're leaning up. And now turn them a little bit again, rotate them a little bit again. So you got them, and now you can feel your shoulder. And what you want to do is you want to push into the doorway as hard as you can and kind of turn, right? So you're just sort of pushing in and turning. And what you feel is you're trying to rotate your shoulder backwards. You're trying to external rotate your shoulder, okay? So, and then you do it on the other side. We won't really spend much time with that because we pretend doing it. But again, it's a count of, this is 100 breaths. This first thing is 100 breaths. So the first thing you hold for 10 breaths, you know, just count them. And the second one you hold, you know, from 11 to 20. Okay, now the next 60, I tend to sit on a sofa a lot of times, but we can just sit on our mats. Actually, you know what? We could do these standing up. Yeah, let's do these standing up. So the first one is Barbie arms. You know, so you take that arm out there, take your right arm out, twist it, and pull it out of the socket. And then take your head this way, looking, you know, completely the other direction, and just hold that for a count of 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Then you flip arms, Barbie arms out, pull away, twist your head. This is where I usually feel my neck start to crack a little. 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. And then back to the right, Barbie arms out. This one, you're pulling your head sideways, again away, trying to keep your spine straight and everything. You're just trying to make your cervical spine twist in that dimension it's not used to. 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Then Barbie arms on the left side, out that way. Pull again, you're trying to look straight ahead and pull over. 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. And then one last one, Barbie arms out, pull out. So this one you look to the side and then you pull down. So you look away as far as you can and then you pull down. So 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. Last one, this one out. Look to the side, pull down. 63, 64, 75, 76, 77. Like I said, do it in another language sometimes. Okay, that's that. And then you go right into the cactus. So you're standing here and you're trying to pull your arms back as much as you can. And while you're doing this, you're trying to make your core, like the bottom of your belly, you're trying to curl up, and the top of your belly, you're trying to curl down. It sounds weird, but you can kind of feel it. Like you're trying to you sort of suck your belly in a little bit and kind of curl it in both directions. You know, do it as best you can. But that, in some of these, we have that. So get curling your belly a little bit, and then up here, and then you're just trying to rotate your shoulders backwards. So you're in this position for 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90. Then you come to this sort of front prayer position, kind of your palms together. Try to squeeze your elbows together if you can, and then lift up and out as best you can. So you're doing some crazy different movements on your shoulders here. Again, 95, 96, 97. This should be a little odd. 98, 99, 100. Okay, so that's that. And now we go right down into onto the mat, into the saggy cow and angry cat forehand position thing. So again, your toes straight out. Try not to curl your toes under yourself if you can. Your quads are up, kind of straight, whatever, and you're in a comfortable position here. You're not leaning way back, but you're kind of in a comfortable position. Your fingers are pointing straight out. And this is the one where, again, you always start these movements with your back. You always start at the tailbone. You start at the bottom. So for the saggy cow, you move the bottom, the lumbar part of your spine. You move that down, and you move it all down. You try to push your chest against the floor almost, and you look up with your head. So you do that, and just for a count of 3 breaths. And then again, starting with at your butt, you curl back into the angry cat, and you're looking down. And here again, you're trying to lift your heart towards the ceiling. Lift your chest for 3 breaths. Again, down to the cow position, where you're sad cow, where you're in that concave position, and then back up to where your back's rounding upwards. Angry cat, and then one more. It goes down for a 3 count, and then it's up for 3 breaths. And now remember, on this one, the next thing we do is we turn our hands so our fingers face each other. So same position. Now your hands are turned in, and you go down into the sad cow for 3, and then again starting with your butt going up and rounding, trying to lift that chest up towards the ceiling for 3, back down for 3, and back up where you're in the angry cat. Your back's rounded. You can feel the vertebrae all kind of moving. Then for the last one in this, down for the sad cow. Again, you're trying to push down a little bit, and then up for the final angry cat on this. Now, if you recall, this time your hands go 180 degrees the other way, so they go out. So this feels a little bit more uncomfortable probably. And you can feel that on your hands, and you go right down into your sad cow for 3, and then angry cat, and then down into the sad cow again, 2, 3, and then up. Again, starting with your back going, the bottom part of your back going up, reaching the chest to the ceiling. One last one in the in the cow position, and then up into the angry cat, and we're getting ready to transition. And this is the one that's the most difficult. You're trying to take your fingers and point them right back towards your thighs. So you turn them all the way back as best you can. And like I said, this is fantastic for carpal tunnel. So, and you'll find, if you actually do this, you'll find over time you'll be able to do it better and better. But I couldn't do it at all to start. But again, down into the sad cow, and then up into the angry cat for 3, and then down in the sad cow for 3, up into the angry cat for 3. These tend to go a little faster for me. Down into the sad cow for 3, and then up, and just sort of sit back and roll out your wrists a little bit. And I usually go almost into this child's pose and just sit there and just let my body like, whew, okay. And then the next one is just go right back into that same position where your feet are pointed straight back, you're on your hands and knees, and bring your one foot up like this. Not really too essential, if it's up as far as your hands or not, or how far out. Bring up to where it feels comfortable, and then just start doing circles. Just pick a direction and do 10 slow circles with your hip really moving with that joint. Really, you're trying to like rub the cake batter out of the pan. You're just really, you're going around there, getting as much joint movement as you can. Doesn't matter, whichever you start, then just stop it once you get to 10 and go the other direction. Okay, and now pop down. Let's do the other leg. Again, pop it up there, and just start right into and you're doing them kind of slow. You want to, like I say, wipe the edges of that cake pan with a spatula there, and you're trying to get as much of a circle as you can, as much movement out of that hip joint as you can. This is one, I'm not sure why, but it just really feels like with all the bicycling I do that this thing keeps my hips from getting too tight. Again, most of this stuff you never really know. There's too many variables, there's too much stuff going on, but I know this is one that if I don't do it, I notice it. So, okay, now we go right into what's called a child's pose from that. You just put your, again, feet straight back if you can, toes straight back. Just get down low and reach your hands out a little bit. It should be like the most relaxing position. Kind of reach your hands out a little far, and from there you go into the cobra pose, which, so you're in this child's pose thing, and you maybe put your hands out a little bit more, but you go forward, and again, you're starting with the lower part of your back, and you're just counting up the vertebrae there, and you're going to the very top, and at the end, you're looking as much to the ceiling as you can. So you're in sort of a cobra pose here. I count 10 breaths when I'm in this. And then again, starting with the lower back, start moving those vertebrae, start bringing it all back like that. And then I go back and count 6. So yeah, go ahead, you're doing those. Go ahead and try those. So, again, with that child's pose, you're reaching out, and then you're starting with the lower part of the back, and you're just feeling a move, and you're looking up, and you're trying to see up as far as you can. And then again, you start with the lower back, the lumbar spine, and start moving that back and curl in. So that's the child's pose to cobra. Now, here's one that you also use a door jamb for, but I made this thing since I don't have a door jamb where I do my workouts. So basically, and a little yoga block is a handy thing, just something to rest your head on. So this one, you put the sort of the crack of your butt right against the door jamb, and so you're kind of keeping yourself vertical a little bit against the door jamb, and bring your thighs out at a 90, and then your feet, your calves down at a 90, and lay like this, and then slide the arm back, and you can feel your shoulders sort of seat deeper in the joint, so you slide it back, and then you just reach across and go as far as you can, and you're just really twisting. You're twisting your back, you're twisting all the way up through here, and you're extending out that shoulder. Do that for a count of 10, and come back, and you don't come back by lifting the shoulder, you just feel your whole core sort of rotate it back, goes forward, slide back, reach down for 10, and again, pivot yourself back. So you can lay down and try that. If anybody wants to do that more, I will put out something that shows actually doing this in a doorway. But that one, every time I do that, I just feel myself stretched out more. And as soon as I'm done, I'm like, wow, I'm glad I did that. So that's a good one. Okay, now let's go. Let's sit up in our position here, and stick one foot out. And this is a foot massage and leg massage. Like, this is just one of the best things you can do for yourself. So I just grab the heel, and I do 3 as wide as full as I can rotations in one direction, and 3 in the other. And I'm sort of rubbing my heel as I'm doing it. And then go through and rub the arch of your foot with your thumbs. This also helps your hands get stronger. Rub the arch of your foot with your thumbs, and up to the ball, those pads, rub them, massage them, and then up to your toes. And your toes are something that almost never get the full mobility they should. So move them around. And again, think the 3 directions. You move them up and back. The X, you pull them apart, the Y, and then you kind of twist them, the rotational, and do that on your toes. And then you're using your fingers to massage the top of your foot, and then start back where you do the 3 rotations. I do that thing 3 times. So the 3 rotations while you're rubbing your heel, then 3 rotations in the other direction. Again, massage the arch, massage the ball, massage the toe pads, pull them apart a little bit. And if your feet are tender, and Debbie's feet are tender in this, depending if she has, what do you call that? That Morton's neuroma. Like, sometimes moving the toes in a certain way is brutal. So, but moving them is better. It's going to help in the long run. So that's 2, and then we do 1 more back on the heel. 3 rotations. Rub the arch. Rub the balls, the meaty part of the balls there. Rub the other meaty parts there, the toes, and twist them and slide them. Come back. Now, put your heel down then, and just with your thumbs, just start working up and down your your calf muscle a little bit there, just as best you can. Working up and down that, and I do that for and then a lot of times what I do is just take my fingertips and just rub, just sort of slide up there. And when you're doing this, it's a really good thing to be, a lot of these things, if you can be moving the joint at the same time, it changes everything. I'm not really against just like laying down for massage, but it doesn't really, like unless you're an elite athlete, it doesn't really help much. Like somebody just, it feels good, but somebody just like compressing and decompressing your muscles without movement and without the joints moving or anything, from what I've read, I don't think it does much other than make you feel good, which isn't a bad thing. And then back to using your thumbs, just kind of work up and down there. And then just kind of move around the knee a little bit, push in there, just kind of move your foot a little bit and just kind of, feel it moving. And then use your fingers and throw your leg out a little bit and try to massage those hamstrings a little bit. Again, you're moving a little and it feels good. You get over to the hip a little bit and then come top to the quads. Pretty meaty muscles in here, and then basically switch to the other foot, and let's go ahead and do that. Just rotations, the heel, the arch, up into the ball of the foot, the toes. And if this is a real struggle to do, this is so much easier to do in the swimming pool. If you're sitting like in the pool here, if you're sitting on the bench, you have the buoyancy of the water supporting it. So if this is a challenge to, and I do these a few times a week. I think it's a really important thing. Again, you don't know, but I don't struggle to make myself do these because, well, they also just feel good. It's just a nice thing to do. And again, if I can in any way avoid lifting weights, I do, and this is the kind of stuff that it's moving your hands, it's building muscle, but it's doing it in a different way. So then up the calf a little bit. Okay, and rubbing those with your fingertips. Going through this a little faster, and then up under the knee, moving a little bit, just feeling what feels good in the knee, and then in the hamstring, and moving that hip out a little bit. And then the quad. Okay, so then from there, if you want to just lay on your back and stick your feet up in the air, and this one is just moving the ankles forward and back, the x-axis, so your toes back pointed towards you and then pointed away. You're just moving them. I tend to do that like 25 times, and then try to go sideways with your ankles a little bit, like the other axis, the y-axis, which for me, I barely can move them at all, but, and then go rotations. I often do 25 in one direction and then 25 in another direction. And I'm mostly just holding my legs up there so it's comfortable. Then I tend to do, I put just 2 rings in my basement so I can reach up and have those. Obviously, I think that's a nice thing to have. You don't need it. You can just do, like I'll hold onto these rings and just really let my body move 10 in one direction and 10 in the other. You can actually do it just moving like this if you want. And then I do 10 step-ups. Again, be really careful what you're doing it on. You definitely don't want to fall. But just when you go to step up, somewhere 12, 16, 18 inches, whatever you think, you don't want to really be like hoisting up with your foot here. You want to be mostly powering through here. Okay, that's one. And again, mostly powering through here. And you can really feel a burn in that. So, I do just switching legs, do 10 of those. So, yeah, I think the rest of these, I'm going to just, I'll try to show it another time. The stuff we've been showing here, and basically almost all this class so far, is, I consider it's like the 20% value of this class, right? This, like knowing how to do these movements, that's a good thing, but that's like 20% of what I'm trying to get across here. The 80%, the big takeaway, hopefully, is how can we figure a way to incorporate these joint movements into our life from now on? And that's hard, right? That is, there's that normal thing of, well, how do you establish a habit? And, and there's, stuff in there that's good. There is, having an accountability buddy, which is definitely for this kind of stuff a good thing. If you can have somebody that you talk to about with this stuff, it's really important. A really big one is learning to truly see. Hopefully, as we're getting older, we're learning to more live in the moment, right? Hopefully, and part of that living in the moment is you actually pay attention more because we don't think we know so much. We're less arrogant. We're less like, oh, I have all the answers. And living in the moment is actually living with curiosity, because it's like, what's going to come next? Might be terrible, it might be great, but whatever it is, it is. And that really helps, I think, that sort of freedom to let go and just be in the moment helps us see things better. And I think when I see things better, I see, wow, I don't want to be 80 years old and, in the C position and, barely moving and in pain for the rest of my life. I want to be vital. I want to be, on the floor with the grandkids. I want to be lifting the luggage into the rack. I want to be having sex. So I don't, those are the goals that motivate. I didn't have that written down. But, yeah. So, yeah. Okay, so in the next two classes, we're going to talk about a bunch of other things, but we're going to kind of come back to that more and just sort of think about it. So, okay, how can I do, and it's not going to be like one thing. It's not going to be like, okay, this is exactly what it is. It's going to be, and it's going to be something really personal to you. And anyway, so that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.